Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for February 3rd, 2016. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, with analysis for the current session. We have the ES here in the daily time frame, and we reached our target. When we had this session right here, we talked about a move likely into 1939.5, and we got that move. That was our goal from this bottom here. Once we put in that bottom, the next day we were looking for a buy opportunity for a continuation higher. We got that goal, we met it, and now we're holding off to see what happens here moving forward. The idea has been that if prices can continue to hold the CLVN at 1846, the expectation would be further strength to the upside. But any failure to hold above 46 puts a lot of strain here on a big time retest of the lows at 1804 with a likely shot at seeing further downside expansion. We do have 1950 half, which is the midpoint of a key level going backward. We also have 1939 half, the midpoint of this current range. So what we have is a very nice confluent zone right here between the edges of the range here, and this is kind of where you're seeing some of that that defense right in this zone. So right now, bears are defending on this pullback, looking for a shot at seeing another round of weakness into 1811, perhaps lower. I would say short term, we've seen kind of a channel forming here to the upside, and rotations lower have led to squeezes to the upside. So if this rotation here can hold off the 82 to 79 zone, there could be a shot at seeing a retest back at 1939 half and a shot at probing even higher through that zone. So right now, 79 to 82 is going to be an important short-term area. Below that area opens up a return to 51 to 46. All right, let's take a look at the intraday time frame for the ES. On an intraday basis here, you can see how prices had trended down throughout the previous session. One thing that I found interesting here is how prices poked below the previous session's low of 1889 here and was not able to hold. And then it shot through the previous close and rallied back to 5-day VPOC, pulling back and then now consolidating, holding. So right now what you see is price holding above the previous session's close, this black dotted line right here after failing to hold below the previous low. That would suggest an upside pattern that will target 1914, the previous session's high price. There's a nice little LVN in the 5-day profile there, and a nice, resistance in general between 1914 and 1910. Watch that zone right there, as if any price comes into that area and can't see acceptance, we could be looking at a push downward. Otherwise, above 1914s opens up our return to 1929 to 1931. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Here's crude oil in a daily time frame. This one also saw a push from the blows here up to the midpoint of the range, 33.43, locking in that key range. Very similarly to the ES, it failed to hold above the lows here on that doji day, went offered through that zone, and just continued lower. So right now, prices are holding at about the zone. That's the last line of defense for bulls here, 29.25. This is what I mentioned in the previous closing report. 29.25 was going to be an area to defend for bulls looking for a return to 44.33. Otherwise, failure to hold 29.25 opens up a big time retest at 27.56 with a shot at further downside expansion. So right now, this is a zone that's being defended, and holding that area would suggest a return back to these recent highs. Otherwise, failure to hold it leads to more weakness. So looking at the intraday time frame, you can see right here 30.68 was the previous session's high price. There's a very clean area of resistance between 30.68 and 30.74. So that area of resistance is very heavy. So this is an area where bears want to defend for a rotation lower. Above this area squeezes back to 32.04. All right, let's take a look at gold here. Here's gold in a daily time frame. It's been trending higher. We've talked about this rounded bottom. After we saw expansion, we talked about defending a pullback for a shot at seeing a continuation into 1130. We've seen that move materialize, reaching 1130 here recently. We've also seen this thing stair step its way higher above previous highs and making them resistance, so making them support. So very serious, solid movement to the upside here. Now we're seeing this thing kind of just hold on these highs up here, not really getting much acceptance beyond 1130. We also see composite VPOC shifting First it was here, then it went to 22.80, now it's 26.10. It's kind of modestly shifting higher and being defended. So if price can't hold above one of these peaks here, that could be an early sign that we're headed back toward 10.98. So right now it's going to be very important to see how this thing plays out. Above 11.20 suggests a continuation into 11.34 and 11.41 half. Failure to hold 22s or 20s in general opens up a return to 11.08. Let's take a look now at the NQ. Here's a daily time frame of the NQ. We saw a bounce off of that tail event here. That's what we were looking for. We were looking for a defense of the zone for a continuation into 43.40. We came very close at reaching that target. Instead, price failed to hold above 42.26 and rotated lower. And now we're kind of in that lazy uptrending market here. So this is kind of a little line of defense here where bulls are defending this minor LVN at around 41.50, and that zone right there could be, or 41.60, 41.50, that could be a zone here to defend for a squeeze back toward 43.11 and likely into 43.40. So this is kind of a short-term zone here to watch. That's minor LVN in the profile, and that again is going to be right there at 41.50. So far, that's the low. That's the low of the overnight session, and it's being defended. I would say failure to hold that level opens up a big-time test back at that major 40.72 LVN, and that's going to be a much bigger area to defend for bulls. Otherwise, below that area leads to a major retest of recent lows with a shot at seeing a big-time push to new lows. All right, so that's the zone to watch. Looking at the intraday, you'll see right here that prices are holding right around 4,200. They're consolidating, very similar to the ES. You saw an attempt to hold below the previous session's low, and that failure led to a rejection back up. When price came back to 41.74, it was defended, and now you're seeing this thing just kind of coil up. So we could see further development within this range here until expansion occurs. I would say any continuation above 42.10 opens up a return to 42.40, which is 5-day VPOC. Holding below that zone would suggest continued development with a likely spot at new lows. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.